So we will get to the CM Punk flavored news a little bit later today, but we have new. But things are back to normal as we have news videos to get to and the preview for the second weekly program from AEW, that being Rampage. So with that being said, let's get down to it. As this Sunday, April 16th, it came quicker than I expected, but either way, it is Impact Wrestling's next pay-per-view event. It is Impact Wrestling Rebellion. And every championship from Impact Wrestling is on the line, or most of them at least. I don't remember if the Impact Knockouts champion are. But the unique bit about this pay-per-view is that both World Championships from Impact Wrestling are on the line, as they both have been vacated from their former champions. Josh Alexander vacated the Impact Wrestling World Championship a couple of weeks ago, and most recently on an episode of Impact Wrestling, Mickie James also officially vacated her championship, announcing a smattering of injuries that will keep her out for an extended period of time and prevent her from fulfilling her obligations as Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. Mickie would end up leaving the Impact Wrestling Knockouts championship in the ring alongside with her cowboy hat, with the injuries that Mickie has. I believe it is rib injuries, a pec injury, and another injury. She will be out for a prolonged period of time, at least a couple of months. I, for one, wish nothing but the best to Mickie James, and hope that even though it did look like Mickie was retiring and stepping aside based on how she left the ring, that this will not be the end for the Hardcore Country superstar, and that she will be coming back at some point when she is 100% to Impact Wrestling to go out on her terms and give us at least a few more dream matches to cross off the wrestling bucket list. Speaking of injuries, though, Eddie Kingston has also been suffering from an injury and is ready to take time off, as Eddie suffered a hernia back last year. And by back last year, he suffered it back in September and has been working through it since September. But now, after the physical altercation he had with Claudio Castagnoli at Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor late last month, he will be taking some time away from wrestling to heal up. As, well, the hernia has gotten worse, which is not surprising, because with a hernia, you're not supposed to do anything physical. But props to Eddie for competing, but also I do hope that Eddie is now able to heal up 100%, and then maybe once he's healed up 100%, continue his rivalry with Claudio Castagnoli. Speaking of unfortunate news, the current plan for Brock Lesnar and Gunther going into the summer does not have them two interconnected. I believe it is it might be from the Wrestling Observer, that right now the current plan does not have anything in the cards for Brock versus Gunther. Which, it is unfortunate, but at the same time, I wouldn't put Brock... I would rather... How do I put this? I would rather Cody and Brock, and Cody beat Brock, rather than have to pick between Cody and Brock, or Gunther and Brock, and which star of the current generation should beat Brock Lesnar. Because I think everybody would say that both should not. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to agree or disagree with that. But the fact of the matter is, what you need to understand is that Brock is at the point where he should be putting people over. But if you make Brock put everybody over, then Brock will lose his placement and will walk away like Goldberg did. But I don't think WWE is ready to let go of Brock Lesnar just yet, as long as Brock is willing to cash in or keep cashing the checks from WWE. And now we move to another bit of wrestling news, and that is from the next Saudi Arabia event. As the next Saudi Arabia event is set for Memorial Day weekend at the end of May, that is going to be a magnanimous weekend of wrestling, with AEW and WWE both having shows over that weekend. AEW having Double or Nothing and WWE having both the next NXT event, which is NXT Battleground, and the return to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. As Jeddah played host to the earlier Crown Jewel events, but has not been the home for WWE's Saudi Arabia shows recently. This show was supposed to be the return of the Queen and the King of the Ring, or the return of Queen and King of the Ring, but the fact of the matter is, at current word, the return of King and Queen of the Ring has been cancelled. It is unclear as to why, but the news video that I watched did bring up a good point. The Cultaholic news video that I watched did bring up a good point. That it could have something to do with the fact that just basically more bigger names would be there if under like the Crown Jewel banner, than they would be doing a one-night tournament for the Queen and King of the Ring. I don't necessarily agree, because you could have it where it doesn't have to be just Queen and King of the Ring. It could be, Queen and King of the Ring and other matches. It doesn't just have to be Queen and King of the Ring, because that's how it was near the end of the King of the Ring. Honestly, for the most part, anytime King of the Ring was on pay-per-view, that's how it was. Anytime King of the Ring was on pay-per-view, that's how it was. They didn't just have King of the Ring matches, or at least, in the 1990s they didn't have. They may have, but as the pay-per-view grew and continued to be a pay-per-view, they stopped just having King of the Ring pay-per-view matches and had actual matches. Look no further than King of the Ring. Look no further than King of the Ring to 1999. Sorry. Well, actually, King of the Ring 1999, because I do believe that's when they had the handicap ladder match between Shane and Vince against Steve Austin, when the ladder the contract or the money or whatever it was, kept getting pulled up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher away from Steve Austin, which ended up allowing Vince and Shane to win the match. But look no further than King of the Ring 1998, with the Hell in a Cell match and the First Blood match being the main matches of the show, and not... Was it Ken Shamrock winning King of the Ring, I believe? In 1998? So it doesn't need to be where they have King of the Ring and just King of the Ring matches, but I do kind of understand the logic to change the show. I just don't agree with it if the logic is, oh, we had to change the show because of the fact that basically, that basically not enough of the bigger names would be showing up for the show. It's like, well, again, You don't have to do it that certain way. You could do it however you want to do it. It's just the fact that you want to do it that way and want to make it seem like that's the case. Again, that's fine, but it's not. You know, right now the current plan for what was supposed to be Queen and King of the Ring will be Night of Champions. It will be the first edition of Night of Champions on the main roster in 8 years, which is actually kind of surprising, and I do kind of like the Night of Champions concept, but at the same time, I don't. I like the Night of Champions concept because it forces the company to make sure all the champions are represented on the show, but at the same time, I don't, because they should willingly make sure that every champion is represented on the show, every pay-per-view anyway, or most pay-per-view events anyway, without having to make it be where basically, all the champions have to be represented because it's Night of Champions. It's like, no, all champions should be represented because they're a champion. You know what I mean? All champions should be represented because they're a champion. It should have nothing to do because of the pay-per-view. It should be because they're a champion. And that should be the reason why they're represented. That should be the one and only reason that they're represented, because they're a champion. You know, that should be all the justification you need, in my opinion. But either way, it will be a big episode, a big weekend of wrestling on that weekend, with both AEW and WWE pay-per-views on that weekend. And now we move across. We move also. Basically, we move over to AEW Collision, as AEW Collision is. AEW Collision is the possible next show, newest show from AEW that could premiere next month in July, as there is rumors of a potential TV taping when AEW is doing their tour up in Canada, in Regina, Canada. It seems like on a Saturday they have either what could be a house show or a television taping planned for a Saturday in July in Regina, California. So, I don't know why I keep calling it California, Canada. So that could be the premiere episode of AEW Collision, as there was rumors of AEW having a 6:05 TV slot, a TV time slot like the old days, on Saturday, and premiering a new show on Saturdays. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will talk a bit more about this in the next news video. With that being said, I will see you in the next one.